Remember those moments sitting in darkened theaters, watching your favorite stars illuminate the screen? There's a side they never shared with us. While we adored their on-screen personas, these actors were often unraveling in their personal lives. Their real stories are sometimes far more dramatic than any film they ever starred in. We all imagined old Hollywood as a world of glamour and perfection, but the truth is far from that. These stars didn't just perform in dramas, they lived them. From secret romances and destructive habits to scandals that nearly toppled the industry, they were not only famous, they were living headlines. They broke hearts, bent rules, and crossed boundaries that shouldn't have been crossed. Some survived the pressure, others didn't. But every one of them left behind stories that will make you see Hollywood's golden years in an entirely new light. So grab a cup of coffee, because by the time we finish, you'll understand why fame is truly a dangerous game. Clark Gable was the embodiment of Hollywood's ideal man, confident, charming, and undeniably captivating. With his iconic mustache, disarming smile, and smooth voice, he earned the title of the King of Hollywood. Yet beneath this polished exterior lay a man burdened by deep personal struggles that traced back to his early years in rural Ohio. His father, unimpressed by what he saw as Clark's lack of toughness for farm work, instilled in him a persistent feeling of inadequacy that haunted Gable throughout his life. Behind the glamorous facade of his studio life, Gable's reality was far more complicated. Consider Loretta Young, the wholesome actress known for her pure screen presence. Decades later, a startling truth emerged through her daughter about their work together on Call of the Wild. An unexpected pregnancy arose from their time filming, one that threatened to destroy both their careers. The studio's solution was ruthless. They concealed the entire incident, with Young disappearing from the public eye for months, secretly giving birth, then publicly pretending to adopt her own child. Gable's notorious reputation as a ladies' man only deepened the studio's need for damage control. Affairs with married women and numerous flings were common knowledge behind the scenes, with MGM's fixers tirelessly working to keep everything out of the headlines. A publicist from that era captured it perfectly. It was all about keeping the press satisfied and the authorities at bay. To the adoring public, Gable was Rhett Butler, the quintessential romantic hero. In private, however, he carried heavy burdens that shaped him. The devastating loss of his third wife, Carole Lombard, in a plane crash in 1942 left him shattered. Friends observed that he was never quite the same afterward, turning increasingly to alcohol to numb the pain. This hidden fragility behind the king's crown paints a far more nuanced picture of Clark Gable, a man whose real-life dramas rivaled anything he ever portrayed on the silver screen. Judy Garland, The Heartbreaking Journey. Oh, Judy. Sweet Judy Garland. That little girl who sang about chasing happiness somewhere over the rainbow. But her own story? Far from the fairy tale we imagined. Born Frances Gumm in a small Minnesota town, she was pushed onto the stage before she even learned to walk properly, driven by a mother desperate for the spotlight. When MGM signed her at just 16 years old, they didn't see a girl. They saw a product to be molded and marketed. During the filming of The Wizard of Oz, Garland was put through a grueling routine that no parent would accept today. Stimulants to keep her energized through 18-hour workdays, followed by sedatives to make her sleep. Her diet? Chicken soup and cigarettes. MGM actually encouraged her to smoke as many as 80 cigarettes a day to keep her weight down. It was a cruel machine, treating her like a tool rather than a human being. When she gained weight, she was publicly shamed. When she struggled to keep up, she was loaded with more pills. By the time she hit her early 20s, Garland was hopelessly dependent on the medication started by the studio. She tried to break free several times, but the damage was already done. Her personal life mirrored the chaos. 5 marriages, all ending in heartbreak and turmoil. Friends said she was desperately seeking the love and stability she never had as a child, throwing her whole heart into relationships that collapsed as her struggles took over. On stage, Judy was pure magic. Her pain spilled into her performances, making them unforgettable for audiences. But off-stage, she was slowly fading away. In 1969, at just 47, her life ended tragically from an accidental overdose in a London hotel bathroom. The girl who sang of bluebirds and happiness never found her own peace. Her story ignited outrage over Hollywood's failure to protect its young stars. But for Judy, it was too late. She remains a heartbreaking symbol of immense talent destroyed by an industry more interested in profits than people's well-being. Marlon Brando didn't just act. He burst onto the scene like a storm, forever changing the craft of acting. His groundbreaking role in A Streetcar Named Desire stunned audiences and Hollywood alike, revealing a power and rawness never seen before. But behind that fierce intensity was a childhood marked by turmoil. His father struggled with alcohol and violence, while his mother battled her own addictions, setting the stage for a life shadowed by instability and pain. Brando's talent came with a heavy emotional cost. Known for his unpredictable nature, he had complex relationships with both men and women and cycled through marriages almost like roles in a play. His own words, "I'm not sure I'm a human being," speak to the depths of his inner conflict. Tragedy struck his family profoundly. His son Christian was involved in a fatal shooting tied to his sister's boyfriend, and later, his daughter Cheyenne took her own life. These devastating losses left Brando broken, a man haunted by grief and unable to find peace. An uncompromising spirit, Brando often clashed with studios, rejecting their rules and rejecting a conventional path. His refusal to accept his Oscar for The Godfather was as much a political statement as a personal act of rebellion. Beyond his film legacy, he became a passionate advocate for Native American rights, even sending an activist to decline his Oscar in protest of Hollywood's historic mistreatment of indigenous peoples. Brando's life was a constant battle with himself, a brilliant but tortured soul whose legendary performances carried the weight of his real suffering. Behind the revolutionary art was a man wrestling with pain, complexity, and the cost of fame that forever reshaped the Hollywood landscape. Rock Hudson embodied the quintessential leading man, tall, handsome, and charming, the kind of star who made women swoon and men envious. Born Roy Harold Scherer Jr. in a small town in Illinois, he endured a difficult childhood marked by an abusive stepfather who constantly belittled him. For Hudson, movies were an escape, a dream that seemed unattainable until he rose to stardom on the big screen. Yet beneath the polished surface and on-screen allure, Hudson harbored a secret he was forced to conceal. In those days, being gay meant risking everything: the public's rejection, the loss of career, even personal safety. To protect his image, the studios constructed a carefully crafted facade. He entered into a fabricated marriage with his secretary to quash any rumors, played along with staged dates and orchestrated photo ops, and remained in constant fear of exposure. His friends carried the burden of secrecy alongside him, and every relationship had to be lived in the shadows. Hudson once confessed, "I just want to be loved, but I have to pretend to be someone else to earn it." The truth finally emerged in 1985 in the most heartbreaking way. Diagnosed with AIDS, Hudson became one of the first major celebrities to publicly reveal his illness, shocking the world and forever altering the public conversation about the disease. This revelation shattered the flawless image of the all-American heartthrob and brought much-needed visibility to the AIDS crisis, forcing society to confront its prejudices and ignorance head-on. Some fans felt betrayed, but many others admired his courage to reveal the truth. Hudson's final act of honesty transformed his greatest vulnerability into a powerful statement. He passed away that same year, but Rock Hudson's legacy endures, not only as a celebrated film star but as a symbol of the courage it takes to live one's truth amid immense pressure and fear. His story reminds us of the heavy cost of silence and the transformative power of authenticity. Ingrid Bergman was the embodiment of everything America adored in a movie star: radiant beauty, remarkable talent, and an image as pure as freshly fallen snow. Following iconic performances in films like Casablanca and The Bells of St. Mary's, she was trusted and beloved by audiences nationwide. She was the Swedish actress who seemed incapable of doing wrong. But in 1950, everything changed. Bergman traveled to Italy to work with director Roberto Rossellini on the film Stromboli. Both were married, Bergman to a Swedish doctor and Rossellini to a screenwriter. But amidst the volcanic island's raw landscape, a passionate affair ignited between them. When Bergman became pregnant with Rossellini's child while still married, America's admiration turned into outrage overnight. The backlash was swift and brutal. This was not just any actress. It was Ingrid Bergman, the woman who played saints and noble heroines on screen. A U.S. senator publicly condemned her on the Senate floor, labeling her a corrupting influence. Church groups boycotted her films, and fan mail turned into hate letters. Hollywood itself turned its back, effectively ending her career in the United States. What made the situation even more striking was Bergman's refusal to apologize. Instead of seeking forgiveness, she stood firm in her choices and moved to Italy with Rossellini. For 7 years, she lived in what was essentially exile from Hollywood, appearing only in European art films as her American career lay in ruins. The tragic irony is that Bergman had always been exactly what she appeared: honest, passionate, and genuine. Her affair wasn't a calculated act, but a deeply human one. Yet in the rigid moral climate of 1950s America, the nation couldn't forgive their beloved star for revealing her true self. When she finally returned in 1956 to star in Anastasia, she received a standing ovation that felt more like an apology from the very audience that had once shunned her. But by then, the scars were deep and the damage to her heart undeniable. Bergman's story is a poignant reminder of the harsh judgment stars faced when they dared to live authentically in the unforgiving world of classic Hollywood. Spencer Tracy appeared to embody the ideal leading man: steady, dignified, and with a face that inspired trust. Yet beneath this composed exterior lay a man burdened with profound challenges that deeply affected his heart. His firstborn son, John, was born deaf, and in an era when deafness was little understood, Tracy carried the weight of guilt, blaming himself for his son's condition. Off-camera, Tracy's life was far from calm. A devout Catholic, he refused to divorce his wife despite a long-standing relationship with Katharine Hepburn that spanned over 20 years. To the public, their connection was merely friendship, but behind closed doors, they were life partners. However, Tracy's personal demons cast a long shadow over their happiness. He struggled with severe alcoholism, not just occasional drinking, but a dangerous dependence that consumed him. Friends and colleagues would notice his absences as he disappeared for days, only to reappear ready to work as if nothing had happened. His guilt over John's deafness weighed heavily, convincing him that he was being punished by God for his perceived sins. This religious torment fed his drinking, creating a cycle that was hard to break. On set, Tracy was unpredictable. He could be charming one moment and merciless the next. Directors likened working with him to walking on broken glass, never quite sure what to expect. Despite this, the studios shielded him because of his immense talent. Hepburn often acted as his protector, standing by him amidst the turmoil. Yet maintaining this facade exacted a heavy toll. Privately, Tracy grappled with guilt, shame, and depression. A man torn between his faith, his dependencies, and the life he yearned to live but never fully could. He passed away in 1967, just 2 weeks after completing his final film, leaving behind a legacy marked by brilliance and personal struggle alike. In the wake of Tracy's troubles, his wife Louise channeled her energy into a cause close to their hearts: supporting deaf children. She founded the John Tracy Clinic in 1942 an institution that continues to provide vital assistance to families today. Spencer Tracy's internal battles were hidden from the public, but their impact resonates, revealing the complexity behind the leading man known to so many. Lana Turner's life unfolded like a dramatic soap opera full of startling twists and heartache. Discovered at just 16 years old while sipping a Coke at Schwab's Pharmacy, a moment etched in Hollywood lore, Turner quickly became MGM's iconic sweater girl. Yet behind that wholesome image lay a life marked by turmoil far more complex than her screen persona suggested. Turner's early years were shadowed by tragedy. At 9, her father lost his life in a card game, plunging her family into poverty. This early upheaval seemed to set the stage for her adult years, drawing her repeatedly into relationships with dangerous men reminiscent of her chaotic childhood. Her 8 marriages were fraught with turmoil, each husband bringing new challenges, often marked by control or abuse. Perhaps the most notorious chapter was her turbulent relationship with Johnny Stompanato, a man linked to Mickey Cohen's crime network. Stompanato's possessiveness and violence reached beyond Turner's private life, spilling onto movie sets where he intimidated directors and co-stars alike. At home, the abuse was physical, trapping Turner in a cycle of fear and silence. The climax of this harrowing saga came on Good Friday in 1958 when Turner's 14-year-old daughter Cheryl witnessed Stompanato's threats against her mother. In a moment of desperate defense, Cheryl fatally stabbed him with a kitchen knife. The ensuing trial captivated the nation. Turner tearfully recounted years of abuse on the witness stand. While Cheryl was ultimately acquitted, her actions ruled justifiable defense. Yet the scandal dealt a severe blow to Turner's career and public image. Beneath the public drama was a profound and heartrending quest for love and stability. Each marriage represented Turner's search for a security she never enjoyed as a child, but her own pain often led her back into harmful relationships. She survived a lifetime of scandals and hardships, passing away in 1995 as a testament to both Hollywood's dazzling grandeur and its inability to shield its stars from personal devastation. Jean Harlow didn't just portray the iconic platinum blonde bombshell, she defined the very image itself. Yet beneath the dazzling facade of peroxide hair and confident screen presence was a deeply vulnerable woman whose life was marked by hardship. Born Harleen Carpenter in Kansas City, she was propelled into Hollywood by a mother who saw her daughter's striking looks as a ticket to fame and fortune. By 21, Harlow had risen to major stardom, but her personal life was plagued by turmoil. Her first marriage to Charles McGrew, a wealthy heir, was marred by abuse, leading her to seek solace in alcohol. Her second marriage to producer Paul Byrne ended abruptly when Byrne died under tragic circumstances, leaving a note filled with despair. The scandal nearly destroyed Harlow's career, as rumors swirled that she had driven him to suicide. A brief third marriage to cinematographer Harold Rawson crumbled within a year. One of the few joyful chapters in her life was a passionate affair with the married actor William Powell, who, unfortunately, refused to leave his wife, leaving Harlow heartbroken and increasingly reliant on alcohol. Behind her witty and self-assured screen persona, she grappled with insecurity about her intellect. Always eager to be taken seriously, she immersed herself in reading and poetry, yet Hollywood only embraced her as the dazzling blonde bombshell she portrayed. Tragically, her end came swiftly. In 1937, at just 26 years old, she collapsed on the set of Saratoga. Her devout Christian mother refused medical treatment, believing prayer would heal her kidney failure. By the time doctors intervened, it was too late. Jean Harlow died in great pain, becoming the first major Hollywood star to be claimed by the very fame she had built. Her untimely passing shocked the world and marked the close of an era she helped to create. Rita Hayworth, the pinup girl's quest for love. Rita Hayworth stood as the quintessential fantasy of her era. With her striking red hair and iconic poses, she became a beloved symbol of desire, especially for American soldiers during World War II. Behind the glamorous exterior and stunning dance moves that dazzled audiences in films like Gilda, Hayworth was quietly battling a relentless